Okay, so today I went ahead and I decided to take a look at some Roblox shaders. Yes, they actually do have proper mods for shaders, like a mod similar to like Roblox FPS Unlocker. So it's not a game, it's like actually like something you download, and it's not a virus. It might seem like a virus, especially with the adfocus.net that it gives you, but as long as you don't click on whatever that pops up with, you'll be fine, because they're sellouts and they need advertising money. But the way I found these is I was actually looking for a shader game and I stumbled across it. I downloaded it. I have not taken a look at it yet. We're going to determine whether they're actually good or not, whether they're worth it, and we'll also be taking a look at performance. Like, does it cause my computer to turn into a multi-purpose oven? So yeah, stay tuned for that. You guys enjoy. So, like, subscribe, or else a massive spider the size of you will crawl into your bed and tear you apart. The link to this will be in the description, so you can download both of these, but we'll start with this one, obviously. And then this funny thing pops up, so just wait for the timer to end and just skip that dumb ad. Alright, so I've gone ahead and joined a game called Vibe Station, which is a pretty good indoor environment. It should work well for these. I currently have them disabled. Take a quick look around just as it is. I'm on max graphics right now. You see, it's not the best lighting. It is Roblox. There's some kind of interesting light cascades going on, and you can see that there's not any reflections or anything, just normal basic Roblox. But now if we go ahead and we open this, let us start off on the low setting and see how this looks. Okay, so you can immediately see that there's some depth of field going on, so if I get close to this, then anything to my side gets blurred, which is pretty cool. You can see that the lighting is definitely more well rendered. Doesn't look like there's any reflections yet, but the colors are also much nicer. The lighting is just overall better. There's definitely some bloom going on and ambient occlusion. It looks quite good, actually. Just do a little comparison. It's definitely way better. The colors are a lot more bright and vivid. So and also my performance is still good. Still have, my frames should be in the top, but if it's not, it's sitting at, it's maxed out at 60, which is, I don't have the FPS unlocker enabled, so it's maxed out basically. Near frame drops, and my terrible internet is not having a seizure, so that's good to know. So let's go ahead and let's bump this up to medium settings. Okay, wow, okay, whoa. Okay, you can immediately see that there are some reflections being rendered. Looks like they're being rendered in real time. The light cascades are definitely more well rendered. They're not perfect there. You can see there's also some reflections on the roof, and the lighting is definitely much better. My performance doesn't seem to be dropping whatsoever. Okay, the menu does seem to struggle a bit with this enabled, at least with the depth of field enabled, which there's actually a lot of room for customizability. You can actually go into these settings and toggle them on and off. So if we enable depth of field, then it looks like the menu is doing a bit better. Just it still doesn't look perfect. Just it's not terrible at all. So let's go ahead and let's re-enable that. You can see the reflections of the train up on the roof. That's actually pretty cool. This actually genuinely does look really good, and it's definitely not lagging at all. On a lower end system, this might lag a bit, so just keep that in mind. As I can see, there's not really any graphical glitches except for my avatar a little bit. There's some kind of weird, kind of glossy effect on there. It's not really noticeable though. So let's go ahead and let's put this on the highest setting. Okay, wow, you can really see the depth of field is it's kind of a little bit over the top, honestly. Well, especially just because my avatar, it's more sensitive, and then if my avatar is on the screen too much, then it seems to blur quite a lot, which is, it's not terrible. It wouldn't work well for maybe some other types of games, which we'll be looking into later. We'll be looking at some shooter games and see how that works for those. Yeah, this overall looks really good. The reflections you can see even better now. You can see the reflection of the pillar, and then the light cascades definitely look a lot more realistic on the higher settings. It feels a bit laggy. It might be lagging a little bit, but beyond being capped at 60 FPS, it's not really anything that noticeable. Let's go up the elevator and quickly see how it looks on the surface. Okay, wow. Okay. Alright, wow, the lighting is really, you can definitely see that there's some bloom going on. It feels much, just much nicer to look at. It feels much more real. We can do a little comparison quickly. See that the lights are they glow a lot more, and it's definitely some like pretty hefty lighting effects, and you can also see the reflections on the ground. Works quite well with the rain. You can see it on the stairs a little bit. Now we can go one higher than this, and if we go into the menu and we enable some custom settings that normally aren't enabled, we can make this look probably either way better or way worse and over the top. So I'll see you when I'm done messing around with these. Okay, so I went ahead and I messed around with the settings a little bit. I don't know what the glowy stuff is, but one thing I'm noticing is that this looks kind of more unrealistic, but it's nice. It's quite bright, I'll be honest, and I can hear my computer wanting to jump out of the screen and strangle me, and I am lagging a bit, but you know, it's really cool that there's a lot of room for customizability, and although if you're in the settings it might kind of be over the top, you can tune it for your needs, whatever that may be. So now we're going to take a look at the Glossy presets, which is advertised as being better for like TikTok and stuff. So let's start with, okay, so we have Glossy enabled. You can see that the reflections are much more prominent, and it definitely, as you can see, it's not so much focused as realism, but more so for kind of like abstract, cartoonish lighting. It works well for like scenic stuff, I guess. And if we do a comparison, we can definitely see the reflections, and then the lighting is definitely more like glowy and just brighter and just better to look at. Are definitely kind of over the top, but it kind of gives it its own energy, I'd say. So now let's go to very glossy. See how this looks. Okay, well, I can see that my avatar kind of looks a bit shiny on the edges. The reflections are turned up very high, like almost a bit too much. Just that this would definitely work for some things. The lighting is definitely more bright, more dynamic. Bloom is definitely turned up. Performance is good on this as well as the other one. No lag either internet or frame wise. Can definitely see those reflections. And then in the menu, it's definitely kind of, you can see the menu kind of reflecting on at the bottom of the screen actually. Yeah, no, this isn't terrible. Just I definitely have to say that I like the other presets more, the rose shade presets, with all of the custom settings I put on. Oh no. Okay, so I'm sure you've been wondering how these look in FPS games and how they affect performance. You can see that the subtitle text kind of glitched out a bit. It is kind of noticeably a bit laggy. This is on max settings. I tried to... It refused to not save the custom settings I put on, but I'm pretty sure I got it back to just normal high settings. So you can see how this could be kind of distracting to an extent with all the reflections and stuff, and also it's my melee took a bit to go away because it is kind of affecting Wi-Fi performance or some swing delay. Okay, the melee kind of messes with the, kind of adds this weird kind of haze on the screen, which is kind of hard to see through. But it's definitely not awful. Just it's kind of distracting, as you can imagine, and the performance would also kind of not help. So let's put this on the lowest setting, and yeah, you see this could work pretty well. The depth of field kind of makes it a bit harder to concentrate, especially if you got close to something or trying to peek a wall. It kind of blurs your screen, but you can disable that in settings, as I said. So definitely not terrible. Like, if you would want to use this, then definitely go ahead. I personally probably wouldn't use this for FPS games, just because it can be distracting, especially with the performance loss that you can get. So let's quickly just see medium, and yeah, it definitely looks better. I don't know if the realistic, like, reflections and everything really just kind of fits the energy of this game. Even it's definitely messing up my connection a bit. It's on red actually. Normally that would be okay, and yeah, on the top right you can see that it's pretty high. So I am going to quickly go into a public server, and I'm going to share some quick gameplay with all of the different settings, including, actually, let's not forget to look at the 2 glossy settings, which, okay, glossy isn't terrible, just you can kind of see the top, like the menus kind of reflecting onto everything, and definitely still probably kind of distracting, just not as performance intensive. And then very glossy is, oh yeah, it really glitches out with the HUD and stuff. The weapon's really weird, and there's an odd outline on my character. But remember, the glossy is not for this kind of stuff. It's kind of for specific environments, to like make videos and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to quickly go into some public servers. I'm going to see how these look. Well, I'm gonna showcase some gameplay using all these different settings. Okay, well, very Glossy decided to crash my internet. Right, so the last thing I want to do is I want to pull up FPS Unlocker and see if it can actually hit my monitor's refresh rate, that being 120. Okay, FPS Unlocker is running, which will also, of course, be in the description. You can see that on very Glossy, it is averaging about 110, minimum being about 100. Sometimes hitting 120, but not entirely. Normal Glossy is much better. It's mostly staying up there with a few drops when I look in some directions, nothing big. Okay, with the low, you can see that it's lowest is about 80 in some directions, but mostly it's about 110 as well. Medium is sticking us at about 100 to 80. Hasn't really gone above 100. Yeah, no, not at all. And with high settings, it struggles to keep entirely. It struggles to hold at 60. And then, of course, with custom settings, as we saw before, it drops down to like 40 to 30. Alright, so my overall conclusion for these shaders is that they're really good. For specific things, that is. Definitely wouldn't recommend it with FPS games, because it's lagging a lot, as you can see. If you have actually... Can you not... If you have actual functional Wi-Fi, then it shouldn't be an issue, but performance isn't issue. It's distracting. It honestly doesn't look good in those kind of environments. But for these kind of games, it looks really good, and probably some other types of games, maybe Phantom Forces and stuff. So I'll let you check them out yourself and some other games. But overall, I say they're really good. It's a really interesting idea to have. That person just got ran over, and so will you if you don't subscribe.